You're sitting in your usual café. Outside, a soft rain taps the windows like a movie soundtrack set to slow motion. The barista brings over your regular espresso. You nod, thank him, as always. But then, something feels off. He says your name. You hadn't spoken it. And you're sure you've never seen this barista before. The cup in your hand, its logo has changed. Yesterday it was matte black. Today, pale gray. You scan the room. No one else notices. Only you. There's a flicker, like a glitch. You reach for your phone. The screen trembles. A single line appears, too brief to screenshot, but clear enough to read. Recompiling reality. Please wait. You blink. Everything snaps back to normal. But you know, that moment was real. And it leaves behind a thin fracture in what you used to call reality. Nick Bostrom's simulation argument. In 2003, Nick Bostrom, a Swedish philosopher from Oxford, published a paper that made scientists and philosophers alike pause. The simulation argument. He didn't claim we're living in a simulation. He simply laid out a logical trilemma. If technological progress continues, then one of three statements must be true. Humanity will go extinct before reaching the ability to simulate conscious reality. Humanity will develop the ability but choose not to use it. We are already living in a simulation and don't know it. And according to Bostrom, the third option is the most likely. It sounds like science fiction, but many serious thinkers took it seriously, not because of blind belief, but because the logic is airtight. Elon Musk once said, 40 years ago, video games were just two rectangles and a dot. Now, they're almost indistinguishable from reality. If that trend continues, the odds we're in base reality are 1 in billions. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson estimated, there's a 50-50 chance we're in a simulation. Philosopher David Chalmers went further. Whether it's real or not doesn't matter as much as the fact that we experience it as real. So, if the simulation theory is true, where would the first crack show? Signs of code in the cosmos. In a truly random universe, we'd expect chaos, but here, everything fits, a little too perfectly. The speed of light never changes. Planck's constant is fixed down to the 8th decimal. Physical constants, from gravity to electromagnetism, are so precise that even the smallest deviation would collapse the universe. That kind of perfection doesn't suggest chaos. It suggests code. Theoretical physicist James Gates discovered something strange buried in string theory equations. Error-correcting code, the kind we use in digital systems to ensure data integrity. This code doesn't appear naturally, it's engineered, designed to protect information in systems prone to glitching. Just like how YouTube buffers your video to avoid stutters, the universe might be buffering your reality. I can't explain why computer code appears in fundamental physics, but it's there. Zoom in far enough, and the universe doesn't look random. It looks structured. It looks programmed. The render engine of existence. Imagine you're playing an open-world game. The map doesn't fully load all at once. It only renders what you can see. A smart system. One that saves resources. One that watches where you're looking and generates reality accordingly. This might be happening now. The Double-Slit Experiment is one of the strangest phenomena in quantum physics. Fire an electron through two slits without observing it. It behaves like a wave. But place a detector to observe, the same electron behaves like a particle. the interference disappears. Matter changes based on whether it's being watched. Physicist John Wheeler pushed it further. Not only does reality respond to observation, it remembers being observed. That defies common sense, but makes perfect sense if you're running a simulation. A smart render engine doesn't draw the whole map, just the part the player is looking at. Maybe the universe doesn't exist if no one's observing it. Glitches and the Mandela Effect. Let's say the universe is a giant program. Like any software, sometimes it bugs. People call this the Mandela Effect, where millions misremember the same detail, even though it supposedly never existed. Examples. Millions recall Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 80s. In reality, he passed in 2013. You remember the Berenstain Bears? Nope. It's spelled Berenstain. The Monopoly man has a monocle, right? Never had one. Luke, I am your father? That's wrong. The real line is number. I am your father. This isn't a few people confused. It's millions sharing the same wrong memory. Some say it's flawed recall, media noise, collective false memory. But if this is a simulation, the Mandela Effect could be leftover cache from a system update. The data changed. But our minds, our local memory, didn't reset in time. The memory you carry might be from a previous build of reality. And that glitch, you're the only one who noticed. Déjà vu and cognitive loops. You walk into a room. Every detail is uncannily familiar. You've never been here before, and yet you know it. The worn wood chair, the smell of damp pages, the way light spills through a window slightly ajar. It fits like a memory, but one you can't trace. This is déjà vu, that eerie sense of reliving a moment you swear you've never lived. Over 60% of people experience it, but science still doesn't fully understand it. Neurologists say it might be a misfire between short-term and long-term memory, your brain misplacing the timestamp. But others aren't convinced. If déjà vu were just noise in the machine, why does it feel so deliberate? So timed? So designed? Some suggest it's a glitch, a cached moment being re-rendered. Others propose something bolder. Déjà vu happens when two timelines, two versions of you, briefly overlap. A quantum echo of a decision you didn't make, but almost did. Like when a game loads an autosave and forgets to hide the previous path. Maybe your déjà vu is proof you've been here before, in a build that no longer exists. Why simulate reality? Let's assume for a moment that this is all a simulation. Then, why? Nick Bostrom proposes the idea of an ancestral simulation, a hyper-advanced civilization running historical models to study their ancestors, like we run climate models, or play Civilization. What if someone out there is simulating us to understand where they came from? But it raises heavy questions. If our pain, joy, and love are all code, do they still matter? If our choices were always predicted or even pre-written, is free will just an illusion? Some argue this is a test, a massive ethics experiment. What do humans do when they don't know they're being watched? It's terrifying, not because it must be true, but because it can't be disproven. You can't look outside the simulation. Why? You can't shut it off. You don't know who pressed start, but you're here, now. And if everything around you is code, maybe what matters most is what you do inside it. You can still choose kindness, still chase truth, still feel deeply, even if it's all just data. And if someone, something, is watching from beyond the render. Maybe that's the real test. Not how smart you are, not how much you know, but who you choose to be when you don't know you're being judged. Subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Stay awake. Stay curious. Stay unpredictable.